You know, it sure is nice to be back here at Royal Baptist. I feel like I'm in high cotton. I mean, I'm here with Senator Kempson, Representative Gilliard, Carolyn Murray. But most of all, this is the home of Ann McGill. I want y'all to tell Ann when you see her Sunday that Bill Sharpe said this is the home of Ann McGill. She sits right next to me in the newsroom and puts up with me every darn day. Ann is the conscience of the newsroom. Ann McGill is the conscience of the Live 5 newsroom. Used to be Carolyn Murray, but she left me. Left me high and dry. Went to Channel 2. I'll forgive you, though, this time, because we're in church. God bless you. Tony was like a brother to me. He was like a brother to me. We're about the same age. I'm a little bit older. He grew up about a mile away from me. I grew up in West Oak Forest, west of the Ashley. We had nothing. We grew up dirt poor, both of us. But we had a lot of love in the family. Tony had a lot of love in the family. Look at this. Tony's family here shows a lot of love. I took Tony out to lunch one day. And you know, taking Tony out to lunch, that's an experience. Yes, sir. You're on the stage. You are on the stage, and Tony could never talk quietly, you know. Senator, I'm this close to Tony, and I said, Tony, what you gonna have? Well, Bill, I don't know. Let's look at this menu. He and Mike Veck come from the same kind of tradition. Over the top. I like to think of Tony as my brother from another mother. So Tony and I go out to lunch, and I said to him, Tony, back in the 50s and 60s, before you were around, Carolyn Murray, by the way, did y'all know my nickname for Carolyn is Doll Baby? She calls me Slick Willie. And then sometimes if she's feeling good, she calls me Slick Willie, Mike. So Tony and I are out to lunch at this place west of the Ashley, and I said, Tony, back in the 50s and early 60s, when I was just a kid, I used to go eat at a food truck before food trucks were the thing. You know, they're in now, but back in the 50s and 60s, nobody knew about food trucks. It was called Roy Hart's food truck. Anybody remember that? So Tony said, you went to Roy Hart's? And I said, yes, sir, I did. He said, my mother was the cook. Senator Kempson, my mother was the cook. So once again, Tony and I come together. I had no idea. Tony would make me laugh. When you'd say to Tony, what kind of peanuts you got, Tony? He would break into his song and dance. And I would laugh so hard, I'd get tears in my eyes. One time, I had to change my Depends. It got that bad. I had to change them. Usually my wife does that for me right there. She's sitting right there. But this time, I had to do it. Tony made us all laugh. One day, Tony said to me, you know, Bill, you're one of my best white friends. And I said, Tony, I don't see color when I see people. What do you mean by that? He said, well, you're a white boy, and you're one of my best friends. I said, well, thank you. I said, I am a white boy, and I'm glad to know I'm your friend. So he said, I want to give you something. So he gave me a T-shirt, Senator. Gave me a T-shirt. And, you know, I don't notice things. I'm not a very noticeable. So I put the t-shirt on, went to the gym one morning. I go at least once a year, Dolly, whether I need it or not. So I was in the gym, and everybody's starting to laugh at me. The girls are starting to point at me, the boys are laughing, and I thought, what the heck is this? So one lady comes up to me, a friend of mine, and says, you know what's written on the back of that shirt? And I said, no, the front says Tony the Peanut Man, Charleston, South Carolina. I didn't look on the back. She said, well, look on the back. Well, I did. It says, my nuts are addictive. Can you see this, Carolyn, from up there, from down there? My nuts are addictive. So when I realized what Tony had done to me, what he had given me, Mike, I thought, oh, Lord, help me. Tony was a gentleman. If you could look through that facade of Tony's, you saw a gentleman. You saw a kind man. Tony was a kind man, and Tony was a good man. Tony was a good man. You know what Tony's doing right now? He's got the angels up there in heaven, enthralled, because one of them made the mistake of saying, Tony, what kind of peanuts you got? All of us who love Tony will miss him greatly, and we say, Tony, we love you, and God bless.